Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the Republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, Russia, Russian, 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 the Russians, Russian,
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots, their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. And the chat is already up to some shenanigans, heavy debate, lots of yelling and
Women's
screaming
hysteria.
from the women.
Telling you, man, it's a that's the real pandemic that us men suffer silently.
I wish Trump would have done something with Operation Warp Speed to take care of the women problem, you know?
Yep.
But here we are. It is what it is. But yeah, welcome to the show, Bernie Bragg. Welcome to the show, everybody. How you doing? How's the week going?
Good. I'm a little sleepy. What was your second question?
I don't remember. Can you see the color black? Because we're matching if you can. Or
Yes,
can't.
I can.
Okay.
It's the absence of color, I think, unless that's white. But I think it's.
Isn't black every color?
I think that's white.
That doesn't make sense.
No. No,
So
but I can't see black.
If you take like all the colors and mix them together, I feel like you wouldn't get white. I feel like you get something closer to black. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's fair. If you mix all the paint together, I think it ends up looking black.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to enlighten the
Can't see
chat
it,
of what your woman is?
I told you she was wilding out.
What's
You
she
saw
freaking
it.
out about?
She's Mrs. Bright's flipping her lid tonight. She accosted me. I'm very seriously prepping for the show, and she's like, "If you bought new boxers, like fresh out of the packaging, would you wash them?" I said, "Of course not. They're brand new. They're the cleanest they'll ever be." And I said, "I will never wash anything new." And she thinks that that's totally crazy, as you saw in the chat.
I did see that.
Some women's hysteria, I think. I mean, I don't clean new stuff. Some kind of psychosis.
Yeah. I mean,
I
here's
think it might be Canadian.
I totally took your side in the chat in the argument. Like, you get a
We're
brand
starting
new
off
car.
on a good foot.
You're gonna go get it detailed, or you buy a new carpet installed. You're gonna have a professional carpet cleaner come in and wash that thing. Probably not.
She probably would. Apparently, I didn't even know who I was married to.
Ladies with your tampons, do you wash those things before use? I doubt it.
Right.
But I have heard the like clothing thing before. Like you're supposed to, but I don't do it. I personally don't do it. You buy
Exactly.
it.
It makes you stronger. That's like whatever chemicals are on there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that's like a booster. Instead of getting the latest booster, you just buy some, clothes that were treated by slave children in Vietnam with some kind of, bleach type of stuff. Nothing's getting through that, right?
Yeah.
Least of all dirt.
Yeah, like
So
when I bought my winter coat, or it's not even a coat, like it's not like a super heavy winter coat, it's like more of a jacket. I don't think I've washed that thing yet, and I've had it for a while. Like where's the line here?
Wash jackets.
I think it's possible.
I'm not positive you can. I don't think I ever have. Maybe she washes this stuff when I'm not looking. Jeans too. Jeans, the move is you put them, like you can wash jeans, but you pretty much shouldn't. The jeans move is once it's getting a little bit iffy, you leave it on the floor for a couple of days. Sometimes you even fold it, put it back in the drawer. You forget which pair of jeans was the dirty ones. And if you can't tell, then obviously none of them are dirty enough to be washed.
Flying Storm in the chat makes a great point, and this is basically the way I think most men should live if they're not. Guys buy new Levi's, you wear them for 10 days straight, and then you get a new pair and just wear that you never wash the jeans.
Yeah, that's fair. I do like 2 years, I'd say. Usually I have 2 pairs on the go, and I alternate like every 3 days. I'll put the other pair on, but that doesn't mean I'm washing the one that's not being used.
I will say, based on your stained shirt that you wore on stage at GART in front of a lot of people, I got to give Miss Bright at least like 1 point for that. Like you went out in public like that.
Yeah,
I feel like some sort of washing.
What you're saying is, if she wasn't spending all her time washing our pristine and clean new stuff,
that's what I'm saying.
She could have done her womanly duty and washed my dirty stuff.
That is exactly.
So, yeah, I agree.
What I'm saying. Okay. Well, I feel like we're on the same page here. This should be a great show. I don't think we're going to disagree
Door
once.
is closed, so we're good.
We could probably just end the show here if we really wanted to. But there are other things I suppose we could talk about. So we might as well do that. Let's get a couple sponsors in quick, and then we'll start plugging away. There's something I found with the recent John Solomon Just the News article. It has to do with Durham. It goes into what we talked about with Durham last week. I think I found something else here, and it's been bugging me. I talked about it on my show earlier today. I don't think I did a very good job with the words that came out of my mouth describing what my issue is here. I'm going to try again now, and maybe you can mansplain for everybody what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I like explaining what you are saying to you.
Yeah, so
It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. We'll do that. We'll do we'll talk about some voting stuff, some Soros stuff, maybe some Nord Stream stuff, but there isn't a whole lot there.
We finally got the true truth. Is this truth version 3.0 of Nord Stream?
It may 3.0 from Germany's side of things. Who knows?
Right.
We got the Pentagon basically taking ownership stake in every company everywhere. They're probably going to be part owners of Badlands soon. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what else we get to. I was real feisty earlier today. Like my show this morning, I was in a bad mood. I was in a bad mood like pretty much most of the day, except for hanging with my kids and stuff. And then I went on with Shipwreck, and I think I got it all in my system.
Nice.
But then the whole cleaning debacle in the chat got me.
Was she so toxic that she just it canceled out the toxicity? And
no, actually, like she's going through a little burnout right now. And I totally get why.
Yeah.
She's not black-pilled, but she could see herself being there, and so I felt like I had to bring her energy to her show in a little bit, and she said afterwards she felt like she felt better. So we'll have to do that more often. It was a fun show. I like that show. Anyway, real quick, let's go through some of the sponsors. First up, we got a little CB Distillery. Love how that rhymes. Labor Day isn't just about barbecues and sunshine anymore. CB Distillery is having a massive Labor Day sale right now. Save up to 40% site-wide when you use code RUMBLE. It is a perfect time to stock up with natural solutions for better sleep, less stress, and pain after exercise. There's a lot of junk CBD out there, but CB Distillery is different. Their hemp is grown right here in the U.S. It's third-party tested and free from artificial dyes and fillers, just like your brand new clothes you buy. Just clean, powerful, plant-based relief. That's why over 2 million people trust CB Distillery, and they have solutions for just about everything: sleep, stress, mood, focus, and even pain after exercise. They even have something for pets. My personal favorite is the one that helps with sleep. And now's your chance to stock up and save during their Labor Day sale. Save up to 40% with code RUMBLE. Visit cbdistillery.com. Use promo code RUMBLE. Again, cbdistillery.com, promo code RUMBLE. Specific product availability depends on individual state regulations. Man, I don't want to speak too soon because I have another ad read. But that was a flawless. I didn't mess up one there. So
something got in your head about the reading recently. I don't know. I feel like you're...
It comes and goes. I have spats of retardation.
Right.
Just
we all do.
Yeah, but mine presents itself when it comes to reading things, which is difficult to deal with sometimes.
Hard for a documents guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. It's the reading part isn't the issue. I can read just fine. It's the interpreting like what comes into my head and through my eyes, and then making it come back out the same way with my mouth noises. That's
who are you replacing Chris with on Saturday?
What do you mean?
Well, he just said something pretty effed up in the chat.
What did he say?
I asked him if he would wash brand new boxers before wearing them, and he responded, "I think so, comma, yeah, period."
I don't know how he's going to recover from that. That's
probably a California thing.
You think so?
Maybe. Something he picked up out there.
Yeah, maybe.
Spent a lot of time out there.
Maybe. For somebody who's like claims to be super reasonable, like that's his thing. It doesn't sound like a very reasonable thing to do.
Right. Anyway, you learn something new every day, right? Sometimes it's disturbing. Nevertheless, we persist.
Yeah, we'll see if we can make it through the show on that news. And, I'd invite you to come on Saturdays, but fuck that. So
I'd say no. Yeah.
I think one night a week is plenty. But anyway, let's do this. This is I specifically asked for these guys just for you, Burning Bright. We got lean. You don't want to miss this. Brickhouse Nutrition's Labor Day sale just went live, Burning Bright. For a few days only, you can save 25% on everything with code Labor 25. Start fall off strong, reboot your health, and save big. This massive sale includes the best-selling weight loss formula, Lean. Doctor-formulated Lean helps turn excess fat into energy, reduces appetite, and curbs your cravings. Lean helps you reach your weight loss goals without needles or prescriptions. And you know, I love my Field of Greens. It's my daily go-to. It's a super fruit and vegetable drink that promises your doctor will notice your improved health or you get your money back. Plus, your favorites like Radiance, their super collagen booster, and even the new Brickhouse Whey protein. It's all on sale, 25% off, but only for a few days. Kick off fall feeling stronger and more confident than ever. Burning bright. Head over to brickhousenutrition.com. Use code LABOR25 for 25% off. That's brickhousenutrition.com. Code LABOR25. There we go.
And if that doesn't work, fall is sweater weather. So everybody's going to feel better about themselves no matter what.
just out of hiding in plain sight. That's perfect. That's perfect. All right, let's I don't even know what to start with. Should we just start with what?
Durham stuff or something else?
Yeah, we could start with the Durham stuff. Let's do that. Let me just share.
Piss everybody off right away.
Well, see, I'm not even sure how You'll see what I'm saying, okay? Because I'm not even 100% sure I'm right about this. I just think I probably am, based on John Solomon and Jerry Dunleavy and what they said about it. So the last few bouts of D-Class has been having to do with these leak investigations. It's been focused on Comey. It started with Schiff for a little bit. It's on Comey and his FBI and them being the ones behind all these leaks. And the last week we've been talking about this specific leak investigation that Durham took up, and it was him and the United States Postal Service that were doing this investigation, which I thought was weird in the first place. But the reason they were assigned is because it involved Comey. Now, this story, the big focus thing they're focusing on right now is like them using an unclassified email server, which is the theme lately because John Bolton, it just came out tonight. The reason he was raided was because they caught him using an unclassified email server or handling classified documents on an unclassified server or whatever, and they found it with a foreign country. And so they went to go verify to see if they had the stuff. Anyway, so they're talking about how these people, Comey's top lieutenants, they were leaking this stuff like they were using their personal emails to do it. Jerry Dunleavy, John Solomon wrote this article talking about all the different investigations into leaks that took place and how none of them have buried any fruit. There's like a whole bunch of them. This came out about a week ago. What's the date today? 27th. So the 15th, they posted this. And if you go down to Tropic Vortex, it talks about the Durham investigation one. The Justice Department's Tropic Vortex classified leaks investigation initially focused on an unspecified October 2016 article by the New York Times, as well as an early March 2017 article by the Times written by reporter Schmidt and Michael Shear. So they know the March 17 article. That's the one that Comey sent Stroke and Lisa Page to go do the interview for. The other article, and this is the part I'm going to focus on, it is possible that the October 2016 New York Times article in question was a piece published on Halloween that year, written by Eric Lichtblau and Stephen Lee Myers, titled Investigating Donald Trump, FBI Sees No Clear Link to Russia. So this is the article they think it is. Again, Jerry Dunleavy and John Solomon, and as we said many times, John Solomon is like very signal when it comes to this stuff based on his role at the end of Trump's administration in the summer and everything.
Yeah, he's somebody's point man.
Yes,
that's close to the administration. Like that's probably the most conservative, safe, if not something more. He is somebody close to Trump and the Trump team. He is their point man of getting stuff out here.
Like if anything, he's playing a role in like how they're declassifying this stuff and telling the story.
Right.
So it's notable. This is the article that they're saying it is, and why I think that's important is like you guys have to remember, John Durham was the one investigating a leak. And if it's this article, he knew that James Baker was the one who leaked it. He knew that Rubicki told him to do it. And Baker was under the assumption that, at least according to him, that Comey was the one who like authorized him to do this, right? So keep that in mind, because I was going through the Durham report and this article comes up again later, like in the Durham report. and it's pretty damning. And so I'm going to read this section real quick, and you can tell me if I'm taking crazy pills or not. As explained in the section 4, whatever, the evidence collected by the office also demonstrated that prior to providing the unfounded Alpha Bank claims to the FBI, Sussman and Fusion GPS had provided the same information to various news organizations and were pressing reporters to write articles about the alleged secret communications channel. Moreover, during his September 2016 meeting at the FBI, Sussman told Baker that an unnamed news outlet was in possession of the information and would soon publish a story about it. So James Baker, the guy who Durham already investigated for leaking to the New York Times, John Solomon thinks it's this story. He met with Sussman, and this has to do with the Alpha Bank hoax. Sorry, I'm trying to collect my thoughts as I'm doing this. Yeah. Okay, so remember, John Solomon already investigated a James Baker leak to the New York Times in a separate Tropic Vortex investigation. Now, during the Durham investigation, the special counsel, this is supposedly a different leak. Okay, the disclosure of the media's involvement caused the FBI to contact the news outlet. So the FBI claims that because Sussman and them already sold this Alpha Bank story, which was the whole thing was to vilify Trump, they already sold it to the news articles, the news media organizations, the Times. So the FBI is like, oh, well, shit, we better go talk to them. In doing so, it confirmed for the New York Times that the FBI was looking into the matter. On October 31st, the New York Times and others published articles on the Alpha Bank matter and the Clinton campaign, issued tweets and public statements on the allegations of a secret channel of communications being used by the Trump organization and a Russia bank, whatever. So, I'm just sitting here thinking, if this is the same, this is the same story. What are the odds that John Durham investigated a leak from James Baker to the New York Times? It was this story. He didn't press charges. But then he didn't bring it up here when it was the FBI going to the New York Times, which confirmed for them that they were digging into this whole thing in the first place. And then if it is the same story that he was investigating back then, the FBI also leaked stuff at that time. So this right here connected the FBI and the Clinton campaign in a leak operation on the same story. And Durham knew about it the whole time, but he didn't bring it up in the Durham report. He didn't mention the previous Tropic Vortex investigation. And so again, John Solomon mentioned this is likely the article they're talking about. What the fuck? Am I making sense here?
Yeah, I don't know if it is weird, but one of the things that's weird to me is the idea that the way it reads is almost like both sides, the media and the FBI, are using each other as cover at the same time. Where, usually we kind of see the wrap-up smear going in one direction. We usually see it coming from the media in particular. But this one is both of them citing each other's actions regarding the same article as the predicate for the reporting.
Yeah, well, isn't that retarded? It's like the Clinton campaign wants to get this story to the news, so they give it to the news. Yeah. And the media's like, they're just not ready to publish it or something. They don't know if it's confirmed
until the FBI asks them about it.
And it's like, hey, we heard the Clinton campaign gave you this information. Is that true?
Right.
Oh yeah, and they gave you that information too. Oh yeah, cool. We're gonna write about it now.
Well, it's almost the way they're framing it is like, well, the FBI came knocking about this information, which gave us the predicate to run with it. Because clearly there must be something serious about this information. There's an investigation involved. And the way I would characterize this, if you leave the FBI to the side for a moment, would be this is one of those instances of the enemy kind of lying without lying, where they could absolutely steel man the argument that there was an investigation into the information that we reported on, right? Yeah. And then they wait until way down the line to acknowledge that the investigation was about the idea that the information itself was faulty and planted. Obviously, the entire conspiracy. What gets so complicated here, and I know we've talked about this for years, but is the fact that the controversy and the narrative campaign against Trump was alleging a conspiracy theory, and that allegation was a conspiracy in and of itself, right? But it gives them so much narrative shielding to do this bullshit circular pattern. In terms of Durham, I don't know. That is a confusing one.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about it, because if it's the same story, like Durham 2 years prior to like this, 3 years prior, whatever it is, however much time prior, he's looking at this story that the Clinton campaign was leaking information to, and the story was ran because the FBI went to him, and he should have been like, oh yeah, I already investigated the same leak from the FBI. Like, he should have recognized that.
Right.
But he didn't include it. And so again, it is possible that it's not this story. We don't have enough yet. Like, they haven't declassified John Durham's Tropic Vortex investigation. And I don't know if we're ever going to get it, but I would love to see which specific article they're referencing here. There's other people online, other Russiagate, researchers who think it's this Yahoo FISA article, and it could be. I'm focusing on this one because that's the one that John Solomon pointed out in that article with Jerry Dunleavy. And if that's true, like this kind of paints a whole different picture for Durham for me. And it's kind of been trending that way. I don't want it to trend this way, but like you can only use the argument that, we're the timing wasn't right. We're saving it for bigger investigations all along. There would be no harm. He already chose not to prosecute the Comey leak. There'd be no harm in bringing that up here. So I don't know. I'm looking at this and be like, what the fuck, man? Durham, what were you doing?
Yeah, I was trying to. I had a WAPO article up earlier that I didn't manage to get through, but it was because. Hold on one sec. Position for.
While you're doing that, I do have a video I could play. If I can get this to work, I just saved it. So hold for processing. This might fit what you were describing. Oh shoot, it didn't work. Hold on. I hate saving videos from Telegram sometimes.
Yeah, it's very up and down. I was just thinking of how Durham ended the investigation and trying to loop it back into this of saying, well, he recommended that a position be created. That's not the position that he's in, but a position be created for politically sensitive investigations like this. And it's like, if you're trying to steel man the Durham argument, was that trying to seed whatever we might see now in the current timeline? Like, they're going to create a new position to do a whole rerun of these investigations, but a rapid version of it. I mean, I don't know. We never got that position created, did we?
I have no idea. This is the video I want to play. So earlier in our private chat, Chris sent a video of Mark Elias, who, by the way, that guy is freaking panicking right now. He is freaking out. But there's something that is it Nicole Wallace that she said in there talking about. I mean, it's projection, but it kind of outlines what the media and the FBI and the Clinton campaign were doing here. Again, remember, they're talking about Donald Trump here when she says this.
J.B. Pritzker seemed to call out what you're putting your finger on, which is that they will retroactively manufacture enough of a narrative so that enough people say, well, let's see what he did or didn't do. But
that's what they're doing here. They're manufacturing the narrative that Trump was colluding with Russia, and they use that narrative. It got enough people upset and like, oh, we better look into this now. Like, she just gave the game away.
Yeah, I mean, but also she's obviously talking about the context of what's going on right now, which is from their point of view.
I know.
The Trump administration manufacturing a narrative that the narrative was manufactured. You can't triple stamp or double stamp. That's basically what's going on here. And I love it. You posted that earlier in the private chat, and I was like, this is, again, an example of not just them saying the quiet part out loud, but even if you are just observing their commentary on what Trump and the administration are doing, it's a no lies detected scenario. Yeah, they are manufacturing a narrative. The Trump administration is manufacturing a narrative. What they leave out there, what they always leave out, is that if the narrative is true, then it doesn't really matter. But she gets to the other, well, it does matter. I'm saying her implication is that manufacturing a narrative in and of itself is wrong or false. But she gets to it at the second point there, where she's talking about the cultivation of public mandate, which is what we talk about. It's essentially what most topics end up coming down to, even the ones that we're really frustrated about for years, whether that's election fraud or these investigations and all the rest of it, public mandate. So they know what's going on. And a few weeks ago, we had played another Mark Elias clip when this stuff was kind of first resurfacing, where he was effectively... while all the Epstein drama was going on, that Trump was kind of flamethrowing or shooting gasoline onto the fire, Elias was on there essentially coaching him. Was it John Brennan? Coaching the media directly in how they should be responding to this, meaning that they shouldn't be responding to this. So they know that a narrative is being cultivated here. And for all the frustrations that have gone on over the last decade, with these investigations and disclosures, it is always a really helpful marker and an encouraging marker when you do see these insiders on there going, we need to stop this narrative construction that Trump and the DOJ are in the midst of from advancing any further, because they obviously fear that there are actuals coming up at the end of it, as simple as that is to say. So, you've got to think that they have a reason for fearing that.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, though. Like, it's basically, they're saying the same thing that our side was saying while Biden was not. We're literally saying the same thing. Like, they're saying the same thing about
manufacturing a narrative.
Yeah, but the thing that's different is not only do we have like the consensus, and Trump has like the consensus of the people, the will of the people, like on his side, but he also has the truth. We've talked about this so many times. Yeah. If you have the truth, you're the infinite player on the game board. And if you have bullshit, like eventually you're going to run out of moves. And that's what's more interesting here. And we're starting to get that truth out piece by piece. The Bolton thing is interesting too. I do want to find that article. Oh, I forgot to pull it up earlier. While I'm doing that, I'm going to play the other Mark Elias clip that I had.
Donald Trump is sending the military to these blue cities because he wants to undermine free and fair elections in 2026. He is normalizing the idea that there will be members of the military on the streets in blue cities, exactly as was said, cities where there are large numbers of black voters. And he is doing it because he believes that his way forward is to prevent those folks from voting. And what was once literacy tests, what was once guessing the number of jelly beans in a jar, what then became more respectable is various laws that made it harder to register to vote, made it harder for people to find their polling place, for black voters to have to wait in hours-long lines without food and water. When that failed, he is now bringing forward his next weapon to demonize mail-in voting, to say that he is in charge of the counting and the tabulation of voters voting, and to deploy the military in the cities that he thinks will make the difference between Democratic and Republican victory.
I mean, again, that's an example of
pure
he's telling you through inversion their playbook. Obviously, I had said earlier, if free and fair elections is in quotes and is a brand or a deployment, then I don't disagree with anything Elias is saying there, and it shows you. But by what they fear, military presence around elections, whether that's literal, physical, or kind of, more deeper 5GW systemic readings, surveillance readings of that statement. Obviously, it demonstrates that they want to cheat, etc. But it also demonstrates that they know that if the military is involved in U.S. elections, then their apparatus falls apart. They can't implement it.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting here is like it's projection, but he's clearly concerned about the military potentially having a role in our elections, and like him voicing this so loudly, it brings me back to that draft memo and everything they said about Trump in 2020 and what he was going to do with the military. The draft memo from December 16th of 2020, it calls for the military interdiction in our elections. Effective immediately, the Secretary of Defense shall seize, collect, retain, and analyze all machines, equipment, electronically stored info, and material records required for retention under United States Code Title 42, including but not limited to those identified in footnote 1. The Secretary of Defense has discretion to determine the interdiction of national critical infrastructure supporting federal elections. Designated locations will be identified in the operation order. I don't know if I ever looked at footnote 1 in this, and I'm going to do that right now. But But yeah, it just brings me back to that. Like this memo was never signed. It called for Sidney Powell being the lead prosecutor for whatever, but this was obviously on Trump's radar. He took a different route, but that doesn't mean he isn't willing to do something like this later on. And maybe we do see some. We've been saying for a while now, like, we got to fix the elections. It has to happen at some point, but we can't leave it up to the states to do it or our elected officials, because they're never going to change the elections that they benefit from. It's just not going to happen. It's a wet dream. You might get it in some of these Republican states, but all the blue cities and states, they're never going to do it. It's a wet dream. It's not going to happen. Something drastic has to do it. And so when somebody like Mark Elias, like, he's not stupid. He may be retarded, but he's not stupid. He's intimately involved in the Democrat election apparatus and like their inner circle of the larger war going on. He knows what they're most afraid of, and it appears he's afraid of the military actually like stepping up and doing something.
Well, yeah, totally. And one of the interesting things, just taking the reporting at face value about the National Guard in Washington, D.C. and the effects it's having. One of the sort of main headlines coming out of this from the administration is the idea that there's been no murders or something in like 8 days or however long it's been, but like a record going back decades, something like that. Obviously, there's not a National Guardsman on every single street corner and hiding in every bush in Washington, D.C. Like, that's not how this works. And it's not how they're really trying to communicate it, even though that's kind of how the sensationalism gets dialed up, both by patriots saying, like, we are taking over the city, we're locking it down, etc., and by those trying to cast him as some kind of dictator. But what it does demonstrate, if those stats are true, is that just the presence of that kind of power projection and enforcement will, by the President of the United States has massive second-order effects. Nobody wants to be, my trainer used to call this wolf pack mentality. If you can convince a group of people that mean you harm that you are crazy, nobody wants to be the first wolf to bite. And that's in pack mentality. And I think one of the fears Elias is hitting on here when it comes to 2026 and beyond, even if we don't get the sort of wet dream you're talking about of total military reformation of elections, I'm starting to think 2026 might intentionally be being set up as this massive powder keg clown show. And what Elias is worried about is that all their kind of boots on the ground operators, they're going to be intimidated by just the implication that there's different enforcement going on. Just the second order effects of that are going to put all of their kind of ground forces, their troops, on alert, and they're not going to implement anything. And, the fact that I'm sure everybody watching this show has kind of noticed the convergences going on this week, where you've got Trump bringing up RICO against Soros, which feeds into NGOs and Bill Gates. And of course, you follow any of those NGOs down the line, and you come all the way down to probably the most important thing that they fund, which is elections. So I don't think Elias thinks that throwing troops into U.S. cities is permanently changing how elections work and how they can rig them. But it does give you an indicator that's how fragile they think their fraud system is right now. Where we're like, oh, they can just flip the votes. Like, why is he even worried about this if they could just flip the votes, etc.? Well, clearly they feel like something is changing, and maybe that has to do with the infrastructure stuff Trump is talking about. Maybe what they're suggesting is that going forward, stolen elections have to be stolen the old-fashioned way, which is like boots on the ground theft, and that's the stuff that Trump might be going after.
Yeah, what you said there about their election fraud apparatus being so fragile, with the boots on the ground, like from the military. I think all it takes is somebody being there and actually watching what's going on and analyzing any of these machines and actually getting it on public record. Like, that hasn't actually happened yet. And this footnote, by the way, which is here at the bottom, this case 17 whatever, that is Curling versus Raffensperger, and the specific document is a motion for preliminary injunction document filed October 11th of 2020. And yeah, this is not a nothing burger here either. So anyway, yeah, their panic is great. I don't remember. I feel like we skipped something. We were in the middle of talking about something and we skipped to the election thing because of that clip. I don't remember what we were talking about. We were talking about the Durham thing, but I think we're done with that anyway.
Yeah.
So we can move on from that. There is another election story, though, I think.
Yes. Well, there's a couple. There's the Brian Steele one that you sent.
Yep. There's
the Homeland Security election integrity role. That was interesting as well.
Oh, you might have to pull that one up. I don't know if I saw that one. There was a tweet from Trump saying Republicans ban mail-in voting, President Donald J. Trump. And then the story, like you said, of that representative who is going to put a bill forth to ban all elections. And I think it's this story right here. Yep, this one. Brian Steele calls for an end to universal mail-in voting before midterm elections. I think there's a few things that we should be able to get in place before the next election, he said. One is making sure that we end what they call universal mail-in voting, which means if you're on the voter rolls, you get a live ballot regardless of whether or not you've requested it. So, yeah, we'll see if that actually happens. I mean, it's a great bill to put forth. I'd still be surprised if anybody who benefits from the fraudulent election system would actually vote on this, maybe with enough pressure, but I doubt it. They're going to find some reason not to. The principal conservative Thomas Massey will shut this thing down. I am sure of it. But you have another story.
Yeah, I liked this one from AP just because it runs along sort of the Linda McMahon of it all as well. But researcher who has distorted voter data appointed to Homeland Security election integrity role, conservative election researcher whose faulty findings on voter data were cited by Trump as he tried to overturn his 2020 election loss, has been appointed to an election integrity role at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. This is Heather Honey. I'm sure CanCon and Ash have talked about this, unless this is totally brand new. But that's really encouraging. There's some just markers here that are encouraging. Obviously, it's a good thing, but I think this graph here, both how the enemy is framing it and the position she's in now and where she is, I think does speak to that larger long-running plan. You know, we talked about election integrity and all that at Badlands leading into 2024. We talked about it in the immediate aftermath of 2024. It took Trump a couple of months to talk about it after 2024, which we get. And then he, of course, did the epic executive order signing. These are little markers. I'm not saying that move is directly related to that executive order, but obviously it is one of the key actual missions being forwarded. And what we didn't see a lot of, understandably, during the fake Biden administration, is that we are seeing markers continuously that there are actuals being implemented here on the Trump level. There's things that you just mentioned with mail-in voting and all that kind of stuff that he's putting the spotlight on who is involved in that, because he can't be directly involved in it as far as we're aware. But everything that he can be directly involved in, it's like the pieces are being put into place. So again, I think the Homeland Security marker there, I think it's not just an actual, it's also a narrative at the same time where it's starting to look to me like they are prepping the battle space for 2026, not just to hopefully stop election fraud, but really to kind of give as much warning to those who are going to engage in it as they can. Being like, are you guys looking at what we're doing? We are clearly making sure there is no gray area between election integrity and national security heading into 2026 under the sitting president. So I think that's a good thing.
Ghost made a comment in the chat, and I want to address it real quick. He said, anybody talking about the next election cycle, 2026 or 2028, should be sent to Alligator Alcatraz. I agree with you in principle. I disagree that we shouldn't be talking about moves to secure our elections. I think those are always good. If you're talking about things Trump is doing as if it's going to affect the midterms or future election cycles, then yes, straight to jail, straight to Alligator Alcatraz. Like if Trump didn't save Cracker Barrel from itself, he was going to cost him votes to the midterm. Like shit like that is retarded. Totally agree.
I
That's
think
Chris.
we
That's Chris
should-
Paul's talking point all the time, and I love it.
We should just. I think we should refresh Scott Pressler's feed hourly from now until the 2026 election.
Should we do a tracker of how many people he's? Oh, I got it real bright there. How many people he's signed up to vote or signed up? What does he even do again? Does he sign them up to vote, or does he sign them up for Grindr, or what does he?
Is there a difference? I mean, they're both humiliation rituals.
That's true. They're both pretty gay right now.
I was told too, Charlie Kirk actually saved the last election, so I think he actually has an edge.
You must have
on
received the
Pressler.
same emails I got.
Yes.
By registering voters, he saved
Yep.
Trump.
And have you seen his head? The abnormal proportions. Nobody could have done it but him.
Nobody could have done it. Because clearly, like with that much weight on his shoulders, they were accustomed to carrying the load for all of us. So
Right. Exactly.
But no, good point, Ghost. Good point.
Yeah. No, but those moves are cool because they're those indicators. Not that we doubt Trump, but they're those indicators of like, yeah, he's not just sitting down and signing some executive order because it's a narrative deployment. No, these executive orders in 2025, they've got teeth. They're being implemented, and you know, I do believe I'm not even worried about it. And when I say I'm not worried about 2026, it doesn't mean I don't think there's going to be fraud. I think there's going to be rampant fraud. It feels like Trump is setting the stage for whatever fraud occurs in 2026 to be extremely cartoonish because they're cutting off. It's like they're funneling them into choke points of how they need to implement the fraud. And we theorized this back in 2022 and 2024, etc. But you know, now he's in the driver's seat. So there is something different, I think, optically about him being the sitting president and having the mandate. By the way, too, something I think is tangential that may or may not prove out by the time 2026 rolls around. A lot can happen in a year. We've talked about a lot of these economic things that Trump is putting forth, peace deals, all these other things, these macro narratives we talk about a lot. A lot of those things could look a lot different. Chris has talked about a lot the idea that Trump has been really signal boosting the Independence Day celebration in 2026. He's been signaling that the country is going to feel in a very different place in 2026. And that's the battle space that their fraud apparatus is going to be operating in.
Yeah.
With a sitting president who's very popular. So that's a different one than just him as this challenger to Biden.
Can I ask you something here? And this is a sentiment that I've seen brought up in the chats and on social media many times by a lot of people, especially recently. Like, do you actually feel like anything has actually changed other than Trump being in office and like we have more things, more headlines we can be excited about? Like on an actual, your personal day-to-day basis level, has anything changed in your life financially or like in anything in those regards as to what it was under Biden?
No. And that's why I'm putting that 2026 marker on it of saying, and hey, maybe we'll have this discussion in August of 2026. But in fairness, we've talked about the switch theory for years and different ways of looking at that, obviously. There's the Operation Warp Speed clip that we all have lots of different readings of. But I do think that there's a reason he has discussed 2026 and that birthday celebration, etc. A lot of the executive orders that he's put in place in terms of economic stuff, switch theory, etc. Those things, it does make sense of why they're not immediate. Because especially if we're talking about energy transitions, all that infrastructure. But yeah, I mean, no, it hasn't. One of the things I've kind of gotten a kick out of, and I'm not even dooming out about it, but with all this talk of like, oh, things are amazing, inflation's gone, etc. And it's like, I mean, that isn't true though. But they get to say these things and use one of the ways I've framed it is in their little dispute with the Federal Reserve, they're just using the enemy's system against them and all their talking points against them of saying, hey guys, according to your metrics that you told everybody, everything is good right now. the rate of inflation has declined. The rate at which we're stealing from everybody has declined. So yeah, the actuals have not changed much. I'm just paying attention to what I think are the foundations of how this is all changing, and we'll see.
Yeah, and that's the part of this that's like, it's tough because we're told a lot of the foundation things are like the foundational things are happening and are changing, which will lead to some sort of fundamental change in our country, right? And it could be as quick as just flipping a switch. That's hence the switch theory. But the reality is, like, we don't actually know if any of those foundational changes are taking place. We're just being told they are.
Yeah.
You know, I see people in the chat saying, like, you know, it's nicer. People are nicer when I go out in public. Like, that's cool. Well, yeah, people seem happier because they're no longer afraid of being, like, vilified and losing their job for just being a Trump supporter. He's back in office. That stuff's gone away. Great. But in terms of, like, everything else, like all the stuff that we were expecting day one when Trump gets in there, free speech hasn't changed. We were expecting the new media seat in the office we were promised in the White House press. Like, we were talking for a while, like, legitimately, like, hey, we're going to get Ash in Washington, D.C., not just Ash in America. Like, it's going to be great. No movement, nothing on that. And it's not for lack of trying. It's lack of nothing's fucking changed. Like, those, at some point, you can only forgive away the bad behavior. I say that a lot. Like, you can only forgive away the bad behavior for so long before you actually start, like, asking legitimate questions. And I'm not saying we're there yet, but at Badlands, we like to be a little bit ahead of the game. And so I think it's okay to have these discussions. It doesn't mean we're anti-Trump. It doesn't mean we're anti the plan, whatever the plan is, and nobody seems to know. Like, we're not anti any of that stuff. We're just pro having the tough conversations, whether or not you feel good about it. And we don't give a shit if it makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, those are when you should be having those conversations, when it makes you feel uncomfortable, not when it's too late.
Yeah, I would also say, and we talked about this in Deadwood, and I think that we're fairly aligned here at Badlands about this, is the idea that even if you want to move forward under this faith-based framing of patriot plans, etc., I don't begrudge people for doing that, but I don't think enough people consider the prospect that this exact mindset, the mindset that we try to forward, the mindset, of course, Chris Paul forwards, G-Money, of not standing on the rug, it's not meant to be ridicule. There's also a way of moving forward with a plan-based ideology, faith-based ideology, and the idea of having these conversations, because if Donald Trump is being literal about this cultivation of public mandate, which he talks about all the time, and if Chris is right about the feedback loop and things we've been talking about for a few years here, then these conversations can literally help move the ball forward, not because we're giving Donald Trump these ideas that he doesn't have or the administration doesn't have, but that we as a community help to be one of those change networks that pushes the ball forward, or rather gives public mandate for the ball to be pushed forward. It says, like, yeah, the photo ops are nice. It's nice that you're saying oil is down, but, you know, gas went from $3.19 to $3.15 the last time I pumped. And it's like, okay, it was $45 to fill my tank, and now it's $43. That's better. But yeah, it's okay to say that you want more and to think that you're going to get more. They're not mutually exclusive positions.
And here's the thing, guys. We talk about the rugs all the time. Like, I am on a rug. I'm on the Rico Grande rug. It's a big rug.
Yeah.
It's a comfortable rug.
Rugs of choice.
Been on before. But there are some other rugs that I, like, refuse to stand on. And well, one of those rugs is like that everything is just fine and dandy now that Trump's back in there. And Ghost, again, makes a good point. Like, why is so much of MAGA already looking to the post-Trump world? Why are they so eager to name a successor? It's like, okay, well, Trump is in. He saved us. Now we can just, like, move on and get out of here. Like, don't get me wrong. Trump is doing the right things. I believe. I still see him as separate from his administration, and he's guiding us there. But at some point, we need to be the ones to, like, affect that change. And we're not going to. It's not going to happen if we don't at least talk about it. Like, that's step one. Discuss it. Step two. So again, I know that the stuff isn't fun to talk about. It's the whole point of Badlands, though, is we're not afraid to talk about things that aren't going to make you just feel good inside. You can get that from other networks. You're not going to get it here. We're going to talk about the things that move the ball.
Well, and I would also say that even if you want to steelman the most Patriots in control mindset you possibly could, and really steelman it, even in that framework, there is logically an end state of whatever that control framework is. Unless you literally believe that Patriots implemented some kind of plan that puts us on golden age rails in perpetuity, permanently, forever, accounting for all choices all human beings will make for all time, there's a reason you have to take these things to their logical conclusions. Even if you think there's this control going on, Trump's got everything on rails right now, and maybe even his successor, like maybe even something like that, you still need to operate, or at least I think it's still best to operate the way that we do, because at some point that ball is going to get handed off to you, and you might not notice when it does. And I've really started playing with that idea more, of saying, okay, let me try to think of it from Trump and Patriots' point of view. And if he's telling the truth in the clip in the beginning of your show, handing power back to you, the people, well, do you think he's going to do a press conference to announce when that handoff occurs? Or is that handoff like a baton pass where, you know, in the relays, it's like sometimes there's a clumsy baton pass? Like, you gotta be ready to take the baton.
I'm not going to go into the detail of that.
If you're not living your life as if you're ready to take that baton, then they're not going to hand it over. So it's still the right way to operate, I think.
100%. Speaking of the right way to operate, yesterday on my show, I gave a bunch of financial advice. I talked about Trump family investing in the CRO crypto token for their Trump True social media thing, and I said I was going to invest in it a little bit, even against G Money's best wishes. And if you would have taken my advice then, even though it wasn't financial advice, it was just like me fucking around, you'd be up 70% right now. Booyah. But on a real level, like, this is kind of interesting. We've been talking about Trump and like the social media stuff. There's all sorts of theories, like all these things are going to combine. True Social, like, Trump refuses to come to Twitter. He's not doing it. He's staying on True Social. There's all these plans. There's also been a lot of major signal over Bitcoin, guys. Like, Trump's been the one giving it. His administration is. G Money, Badlands. Like, we talk about Bitcoin, very pro Bitcoin. They come out though and they partner with Crypto.com, and they establish a treasury company holding CRO, and this is going to be the native token, or it is the native token of the Chronos system, and it's going to be part of like the Truth platform. They're going to be using it, I think, somehow like integrated with True Social and transaction. It's an interesting thing. I know this is kind of off topic, but I wanted to bring it up because I just got an alert that my stuff is up 70%.
It is interesting. I had never heard of the Chronos token before this came out, so not going to pretend I have. What I did find interesting, though, I was reading the Devin Nunes statement on it, etc., and they referred to it as a utility token, and I thought that was kind of interesting because their framing of it was not talking about it as a currency or valuation in the traditional sense, or like they talk about Bitcoin. Keep in mind as well, Trump Media and Technology Group announced, I forget how many hundreds of millions or billions, that they announced an intent to purchase Bitcoin for their treasury, for their company's treasury, right? Yep. So we haven't seen the U.S. so far disclose that they have made good on additions to the strategic Bitcoin reserve. A lot of Bitcoiners feel that they've been standing on that rug for a while, but Trump's own company has actually started putting together a Bitcoin strategic reserve. With this, G often talks about the idea of kind of onboarding people into wallet infrastructure and crypto infrastructure. Maybe that's part of what's going on here. Maybe it's a way of getting a lot of the Truth Social audience and that MAGA core being like, hey, here's how crypto wallets work. Here's how custody works. Maybe that's part of it. It could also be, I am far from versed on the idea of layer 2s and layer 3s and all that kind of stuff built on top of Bitcoin, but that also could be what's going on as well.
Yeah, I'll just read Devin Nunes' statement here. He says, after reopening the internet with a free speech social media platform and building an uncancelable TV streaming service, Trump Media is partnering with the namesake of its industry, Crypto.com, to help make Chronos the utility token of choice around the globe. As the first company to widely implement CRO across social media and TV streaming platforms, Trump Media is proud to be an early adopter of this best-in-class digital network. With its extraordinary transparency and Crypto.com's wide array of regulatory licenses, we believe CRO is poised to become a foundational network for next generation of asset exchange and money transfers for a world-leading digital-first America. Yeah, I mean, you could look at Bitcoin as like the savings, the gold, and this more of as a dollar, like the exchange stuff.
Yeah, from July 21st, it was Trump Media builds $2 billion Bitcoin hoard. TMTG said it's accumulated roughly $2 billion in Bitcoin and related assets, totaling about 2/3 of its total liquid assets.
That's crazy.
You know, in terms of assets, they're talking about Bitcoin, but yeah, then they're talking about all these crypto rails, etc. I just thought maybe it's a very common term, but I thought the term utility token was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And all this is going on, and we've had the discussions about stable coins, and it's all playing out against the backdrop of an ongoing and escalating and increasingly cartoonish feud between Trump and the Federal Reserve. Did you see Scott Bessent's comment on the Lisa Cook situation? Because I don't think we've had a show since the Cook thing happened a couple days ago.
I don't think so. But speaking of Cook, so she is in trouble. Was that the mortgage one? There's like 400 different high-profile people with two mortgages.
She
apparently
was the
in
mortgage one of the mortgage ones, yeah.
Okay, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, like all these people are just
that's weird,
crazy.
huh?
It is weird. The mortgage is the new black.
Yeah.
That's the crime you get now.
I know.
Just like all people who die go to WITSEC, all people who have been executed at Gitmo, they are actually just getting charged with mortgage fraud. Anyway, yeah, she gets in trouble. Trump's like demanding her to be like fired or whatever. They might even send marshals after her or something. She's like, I ain't going nowhere, bitch. And we're at this like devastating back and forth. And
yeah, I found my boy Scott Bessent. He's one of my very favoritist of the 2025 characters.
That's gay, but awesome.
Just dark horse. He is gay, right?
But I support it. I support it.
Yeah.
What's her name again? Lisa Cook?
Lisa Cook. Scott Bessent was asked about this whole Lisa Cook situation, and essentially the media is focusing on, does Trump have the authority to fire her, right? I think that's the signal. That's really what's going on here. Does Trump have the authority here? And let's see if this is the one. This is probably it.
Undue pressure on the Fed, and there are people like President Trump and myself who think that if a Fed official committed mortgage fraud, that this should be examined, and that they shouldn't be serving as one of the nation's leading financial regulators. And what we haven't heard from Ms. Cook is we haven't heard her say, "I didn't do it." We haven't heard her say, "I didn't do it." She just keeps saying the president can't remove her. The other thing too that I have called in the recent past for an internal review of all the Fed's operations, and I've encouraged Chair Powell to do this on an internal basis before there is an external review. And this is the kind of thing that needs to be addressed, because the Fed is an unaccountable institution, and its relationship with the American people depends on a high level of trust. And incidents like this puncture that trust. So President Trump is trying to make sure that anyone who serves at this institution has the trust of the American people.
And of course, this firing.
I just love, like, it's such a blunt, obvious move. I haven't heard her say she didn't do it. And it's like, it's such a funny way of cutting through all the noise. And I do think the signal is about authority, presidential authority over the Fed. Really, I think it's less about presidential authority. And I think what they're really trying to drive home is, if the president has no authority over the Fed, then nobody does. Nobody has any oversight over the Fed. We've known this in this community for a long, long time. But yeah, I didn't hear her say she didn't do it. It's like,
because she did do it. Even CNN's like, we reviewed her mortgage documents. Both of the properties were listed as her principal residence. However, it's not known why she did so, or if she did so intentionally. Like,
right.
Okay, within 2 weeks of each other, give me a break.
Yeah, and it's also, it's funny, the making the Gitmo mortgage fraud joke. It's funny because this seems like a small thing, like it's a lot of, but even that headline you just pulled up by CNN is it's an example of that Overton's goalpost type of move where this sort of crime seems trivial. They're like, man, Trump is talking about how corrupt everything is, and really it's just mortgage fraud. But think of the narrative position that the media apparatus is in right now.
Yeah.
They're having to unironically put headlines together talking about how the Fed Board of Governors are just committing mortgage fraud, and it's no big deal. Shut up. Like, and I mean, if you know, I can't imagine Trump and Besson are upset that those kind of headlines are out there right now.
I get what you're saying. And like, you're right about that, but like, also, I do think this is a stupid thing. Like, we're sitting here advocating to get rid of property taxes, and the only reason mortgage fraud is a crime is because if you have two residencies listed as your primary residence, it's taxes. It comes down to the money.
Yeah,
and
but
so,
is he putting them in the position of having to argue against their own system?
Whatever it is, like, I'm just saying, like, I could care less if somebody is committing mortgage fraud. I want to see the people that are committing like the major crimes against children go to jail. I mean, obviously, if you're committing a crime intentionally, you should get punished for it. I'm saying, like, if she's committing mortgage fraud, whatever, that's like the least of my worries. Like, there's probably more skeletons in that closet. Letitia James, same thing. Adam Schiff, same thing. Like, get these fuckers for like the bad stuff, the mortgage fraud thing. I want property tax and all that shit to go away anyway, where this wouldn't be a crime anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I would just say that I think it's embarrassing and cartoonish for them. And it's also, it's putting the enemy in a position where they have to defend just fraud being committed by the only basically institution in our country that isn't audited, and probably the only one that should be, or the one that should be most audited. So they're not only not being audited, but they're committing fraud. And yeah, I don't think there should be like pitchforks in the streets about that to the same degree as the more serious things.
It's hypocrisy. That's what
it is. But it's also these are those process crimes that we've talked about in RICO. That's usually what gets you, right? And I saw something else that I can't remember what they were citing, but there's an argument going around right now where if she is charged with this kind of securities fraud or mortgage fraud, it might put legal onus on Jerome Powell to take action. So I think there's more going on here where he has to take action in this kind of a situation. And if he doesn't, then we get into a much more squirrely territory in terms of whether or not Jerome Powell is upholding his mandate. And I think that the Lisa Cook thing is like a cartoon sideshow, just like you mentioned Fannie Willis and those kind of... They're all these sideshows. But I think that there is some method to the madness. I think this is much more about Jerome Powell than it is about Lisa Cook. It's about isolating him.
Ghost made another good point. It comes down to the loan. Primary residence only requires 3.5% down. Rental properties require 20% down. That's definitely part of it too. But the thing you're addressing there is interesting because the last vote for interest rates was the first time in like 40 years or 50 years or something crazy that they had two people dissent from everybody else. And those two people were like, yeah, you should lower rates. Then in the meantime, Trump gets Stephen Moran in there because somebody resigned. So that's 3. So it'd be 3-8. If Lisa Cook gets fired and replaced by Trump, then it'd be 4-7. Like, we're slowly inching to a majority who would vote in line with what Trump's vision for things here. And who knows how it'll look even just this next vote without having Trump installed people in there. There might be enough there that are like, fuck this. Like, what are we doing? Like, is it possible, like, if this is a genuine question, I don't know. Let's say the Board of Governors, like, everybody comes out there, 10 of them, because Powell would be counted as one. Like, is it a simple majority for lowering the rates, or like, could they have 10 people on that board or whatever be like, no, we want to lower the rates, but Powell be like, yeah, I disagree. We're going to raise them anyway. Could it get to a point where everybody is against Powell? Do you know what I'm saying?
Simple majority according to the machine. While any one of the 12 voting members has one vote, the 7 members of the Board of Governors hold a permanent majority, which gives them significant influence. Yeah,
So-
FOMC's decisions on monetary policy, including interest rates, are made by a simple majority vote.
So Powell can't
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know.
The Stephen Mirren point is a big one. That's what I was writing about that over the last few days. We had talked about this, I think, months ago, but the white paper he put out in November 2024, User's Guide to Restructuring U.S. Monetary
The Mar-a-Lago
Policy.
Accords?
Yeah. That is... I've been struggling to wrap my mind around that. I read that whole paper over the weekend and was like trying to really understand what they're trying to do there. And I think I've got it on a macro level. But to your point, it's like Jerome Powell's being surrounded. So either he capitulates or he's going to be moved. He's either going to move or be moved. But I think what's more interesting is Mirren being there as that major signal, that paper that was put out, it all runs in parallel with everything Scott Bessent has been saying throughout 2024 and 2025, and it matches the tariff policy, it matches the interest rate policy, and I think one of the major reasons that Powell and the traditional system is so scared of the rate cut scenario is it's not just that it's going to temporarily juice the economy like nominally because of liquidity entering the system. I think what it's going to do is permanently break the idea that you can't have onshoring and inflation. Trump is saying that you can have both. And what I mean by inflation is asset inflation and good inflation. He's saying that he wants borrowing to be cheaper and money to be flooding the American system while jobs are coming back and while prices on goods are coming down because U.S. manufacturing is coming back. That's like the key that the legacy system says is impossible. It's essentially their major argument for why we need globalism. We need our goods and jobs to be overseas so that everything is cheaper here at home. And Trump is saying you could actually have both. So that's kind of at the heart of Mirren's paper. It's at the heart of what Scott Bessent is saying. And I think they know that if they lower the interest rate, it's not going to be 2020 where we're just going to get inflation, but we're not going to get any new jobs. We're going to get persistent job growth and inflation at the same time.
Yeah, I think it has to be timed right, though. And part of the reason I think some of what Powell's done is actually help Trump is because like having a weak dollar, especially with the tariff and the trade stuff, is like a key point. And that's in that paper, too. I know I've read through that a couple times, and most of the time I come away feeling dumber than I did reading because it's like such a brilliant thing. It's like so many technical terms. It's complicated. Yeah, not easy to understand. But it's notable. He might be a dark horse candidate for a potential replacement of Powell. I wonder.
Mirren?
Yeah.
Yeah, if he is, and he's very coy about Bitcoin. He's been on some Bitcoin podcasts. There's a tweet. It might now be deleted. I was looking for it the other day. I have seen the screenshots of it, but he had a 2023 tweet responding to censorship, I think, and Stephen Mirren, and he said Bitcoin fixes this, which is obviously an infamous like phrase that maxis use pretty much to any situation. Now when he's asked about Bitcoin, he's just like, yes, Bitcoin and gold and other assets, and they're all like good things, and we're taking them all very seriously, but he doesn't really talk about it much. But yeah, he did have that infamous tweet. But yeah, there you go. I forget what it was in reference to. Is the original... So he said it twice.
Well, no, the second time is when he deleted it. Or no?
No, those are separate tweets.
Those are separate things. Let me see if I can find that.
One of them was about something seemingly innocuous.
Hold for processing. Yeah, it's weird that it doesn't say what the actual post they're referring to.
But the one of the concepts that I didn't learn about until this year, but a lot of it was based on this Besant and Mirren research, is Triffin's dilemma. I don't know if we've talked about that on the show, but Triffin's dilemma essentially states that if you are the global reserve currency, it's really good for you at first, which we've been the global reserve currency since the Bretton Woods Agreement. So it's really good for you at first because that means everybody globally, or most developed nations, are on basically a US dollar standard. Never blocked anyone. Okay, bots and scammers. Bitcoin fixes bots and scammers. That's what he's saying. So that was interesting.
Let's see the other one. Anyway, keep talking. I'll find it.
That was the one I saw. But basically, Triffin's dilemma suggests that being a global reserve currency is good at first because your dollar's really, really strong. And everything made in foreign nations is cheaper. Foreign currencies are cheaper, etc. But over time, it creates a paradox. If you remain the global reserve currency, then your primary export, what everybody else in the world wants from your nation, is your currency. And you might think that that's good, but it's not good. What it means is foreign nations want to invest in assets denominated in US dollars. And what happens is they price Americans out of the market. Americans want cheap goods that are not priced in dollars. They want cheap goods that are being manufactured in other places. So if you are the global reserve currency, it actually drives production and manufacturing out of your country over time and results in your economy being weaker, not stronger. So the chief, according to Steve Mirren and Scott Besant, the chief export of the United States since the 80s is the US dollar. And it's not anything made in America. The currency is so strong that the cost of making things in America is so prohibitive that Americans can't afford an American-made car, essentially, is like the easy analogy. Trump, I think what Trump and Mirren and them, the financial engineering they're doing is they're saying we can have both. We can strengthen the US dollar or make sure it doesn't completely inflate away while onshoring production. But the reason they need to cut interest rates is so they don't have that Triffin's dilemma situation. A strong dollar is actually not good in some respects if you're trying to juice the economy.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what this other post is. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about what you're saying about the strong dollar.
I couldn't find that other one earlier either.
It's because their tweets are protected. I wonder if I just follow and they have to like let me in.
Yeah, guys, I'm explaining this badly as well. I'm kind of new to it, but I wrote an article about it on my Substack that probably explains it better because I was actually grooving on that this weekend. But
well, that's a great way to get people to read your article. Like, guys, I don't understand this topic, but I wrote an article about it.
I wrote about.
All can read it.
I like put Mirren's thing in layman's terms and probably misunderstood him, but that's essentially it. If your dollar is strong, then it means things priced in that dollar are difficult to afford. Obviously, that's why shit made in China is cheaper for us because everything over there was denominated not using the US dollar originally. Yeah.
I want to talk about this post from Trump, moving on to the next topic here. But you know what? Maybe before we do that, we should get a quick word from our friends over at our other business here, Soft Disclosure. Get ready to ignite a revolution with Soft Disclosure. This isn't just a product drop. It's a full-on movement that's about to shake things up. This is personal care that doesn't mess around. No compromises, just pure, unapologetic quality. First up, the lotion, supercharged with aloe and goat milk and our exclusive Badlands oil blend. This isn't your average drugstore goop. It's a barrier-restoring powerhouse. Choose unscented when you want clean and simple, or vanilla citrus when you want to smell like you actually give a damn. Then the deodorant, natural, aluminum-free, and straight-up badass, built to last 2 months of daily use with scents like crisp mint or bold lemon grapefruit. No gimmicks, just protection that actually delivers. And finally, the tallow bar. And no, it's not deodorant. It's a vanilla coffee tallow stick with primal fuel for skin that's been through it all. Rub it where you need serious moisture, elbows, hands, knees, basically anywhere you're tired or feeling like sandpaper or just want baby soft skin. Every bottle, stick, and bar is handcrafted in Colorado by Badlanders who live and breathe truth. Partnering with Willow Wind Farm, and Badlands Media, we're putting our money where our morals are. Soft disclosure, make truth your routine. Head to softdisclosure.com, use code Badlands for $5 off, and join the fight today. For those who are asking, hard disclosure comes at a little increase in price, so we'll bring that to you later.
Soft disclosure. I feel like we should start making that a thing.
Whisper and then put lotion on your hands and rub it in.
Let me cite myself from earlier when I wasn't.
How dare
retarded.
you? Look at this grifting.
Yeah, I cited Mirren from that article and didn't really understand what he was saying, but this until I really got it. It's about
AI
labor.
explain it to you.
Well, yeah, I put the entire. That's actually good. It's a good move. Put those entire white papers through AI and just be like, what is this saying? But it's what?
I'm your moderator. Chris in the chat made a great comment. Cook exists so Trump can prove he can fire Fed members without firing Powell. That's a great fucking point. And you may have even said that. I just might not have been listening. Firing Powell was narrative seeding.
Yeah.
It's another good one. It's brilliant. Brilliant.
So this is the way to put Triffin's dilemma. Mirren talks about Triffin's dilemma. My version of this was, with the USD being the reserve currency of the world, over time the core export of the United States became the dollar itself. Jack Mahler's also has great layman terms commentary about this. The export became the dollar, which foreign nations and globalist oligarchs siphoned away into their own coffers or stored in hard assets they controlled. They didn't reinvest the proceeds into American production. All the while, American jobs and production fled overseas, chasing weaker currencies and therefore weaker labor. So what I was not explaining well is the labor aspect of things. The reason the foreign goods are cheaper is the foreign labor is cheaper. The reason the foreign labor is cheaper is because they're not being paid in US dollars. The reason all the US jobs left the United States is because we're being paid in US dollars and US dollars are too strong. So it's a paradox. But you can see why when they originally were like, oh, Bretton Woods, we're going to make the dollar the reserve status. It sounds unassailable. Like nobody would have thought, well, what do you mean having a strong dollar is bad? Well, it's bad if you live in a globalist system because all the other nations are going to grab that dollar and siphon those jobs away. So, but these are the narrative games we always talk about that Trump has to play, or the tightropes he has to walk. He has to right now walk a tightrope where he is claiming that he's trying to strengthen the US dollar. He is literally trying to do the opposite.
Yeah.
He's trying to weaken the US dollar, but he's trying to do it in a stable manner, which is what you mentioned, the timing. The timing here is not easy, which is why I subscribe to the theory that Powell is going to be here as long as Trump wants him here, and it probably has to do with the timing that you're bringing up. Maybe Trump is the one who actually doesn't want the rates cut yet, but he does want them cut in a few months.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man.
Okay, please give us a credit.
Just transition here to our next topic here. True social post from Trump. And as we've seen many times over the years, when Trump truths about something, it's probably because they just had a meeting. He had a meeting with the FBI or somebody on his national security team. And, back in the day, they told him yeah, Adam Schiff was leaking stuff to the press. And then he goes to True Social's oh, fuck that pencil neck guy. He's leaking shit. Well, same thing I think happened here to a degree. George Soros and his wonderful radical left son should be charged with RICO because of their support of violent protests and much more all throughout the United States of America. We're not going to allow these lunatics to rip apart America anymore, never giving it so much as a chance to breathe and be free. Soros and his group of psychopaths have caused great damage to our country. That includes his crazy West Coast friends. Be careful. We're watching you. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This to me signals that Soros and there's so many avenues you could go through this, and their involvement over the last 10 years that the RICO case is looking into, specifically honing in on 2020, Summer of Love, those type of things, prosecutors, letting people out, all that stuff that had to do with delegitimizing Trump. To me, this signals that they are square in the crosshairs of that ongoing investigation. Him saying they should be charged with RICO is basically him saying they are going to be involved in this RICO case that's ongoing.
Right. Yeah, Zero Hedge I was writing about earlier today. Zero Hedge had a great write-up on this where they were connecting it to the announcement that Bill Gates was removing his funding from Arabella, and then obviously bringing up this statement by Trump and RICO with George Soros, and all those threads are tied together. Arabella, the Soros Open Societies, the Gates Foundation, all this kind of stuff. They're all the tendrils, all the money flows eventually get to the same NGOs. They all end up being anti-Trump NGOs, etc. So, and wasn't Gates, I think they said, wasn't Gates meeting with Trump a couple days ago?
Oh, I don't know, maybe. If he did, I missed that.
Maybe I made that up. Yeah. Bill Gates meets with Trump at the White House.
What day?
Tuesday, yesterday.
Wasn't that the day he met with the Korean?
Yes, I think
so. Was that yesterday? Wasn't there? What else went on yesterday? The days kind of all blur together.
Right.
And by the Korean, I meant the president of South Korea.
Yeah, the Korean.
Wasn't that also the day that he saved Cracker Barrel?
He did. Yep. The most important thing. But yeah, Gates, the Zero Hedge write-up says the dark money network operated by Arabella Advisors has reportedly lost one of its top funding sources, which is Bill Gates. Equally significant in the news cycle is President Trump stating on True Social that George Soros should be charged with RICO.
Okay, no, I got this wrong. He met with the Korean on Monday. Today's Wednesday. So what happened yesterday? Yesterday, was it just Bill Gates yesterday? I feel like there had been something else that went on. Oh, yesterday was the 4th anniversary of the Abbey-gate thing. That was yesterday.
Oh, right.
All right. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, the George Soros thing, I just had to point this out because I think it's squarely involved. We should have talked about this story next instead of the Soros thing real quick. But this story is like, I love it. I love it.
Oh,
Trump,
yeah.
Pentagon, weighing equity stakes in defense contractors like Lockheed, says Lutnick. You know what? I actually have a clip for this. Because I talked about this on my show the other day. I've talked about it a couple days in a row now. Like Monday, I think it was, I was speculating, okay, now that they finalized this deal with Intel, 10% equity stake, and they're doing it under the justification of this CHIPS Act grants, how many other companies are they going to be looking for with the same reason? Like, hey, we're giving you this money for the CHIPS Act. Now you give us part of your company. Like all your company belong to us now. And then going on from there, like how many other just general companies does the United States government bleed money to that we're going to like be going to ask for equity stakes in? And then I started thinking, no, I'm going to play this clip before I get ahead of myself because, oops, wrong. Hold for process. I just got to get pulled up because there's a really interesting point I want to make here, and it's one that where did I put this thing? Oh, hold on. Download. Where's my download? There we go. Okay. I think it's this one. Yeah, this is it.
Well, I think the Intel deal was a great example. The Biden administration gave, G-A-V-E, gave Intel, an American company, $11 billion grant in exchange for nothing to help them build semiconductors in America, which would be a really good thing. But why would you have, I mean, talk about corporate welfare. So Donald Trump sits in the room with me and Lip-Bu, the CEO of Intel, and says, come on, we've got to make it fair for America. And we agree. We get 10% of the company, which brilliantly equals $11 billion.
Why shouldn't the U.S. government say, you know what, we use Palantir services. We would like a piece of Palantir. We use Boeing services. We would like a piece of Boeing. There are a lot of businesses that do business with the U.S. government that benefit by doing business with the U.S. government. I guess the question is, where's the line?
Oh, there's a monstrous discussion about defense. I mean, Lockheed Martin makes 97% of their revenue from the U.S. government. They are basically an arm of the U.S. government. They make exquisite munitions. I mean, amazing things that can knock a missile out of the air when it's coming towards you. But what's the economics of that? I'm going to leave that to my Secretary of Defense and the Deputy Secretary of Defense. These guys are on it and they're thinking about it. But I tell you what, there's a lot of talking that needs to be had about how do we finance our munitions acquisitions. I think a lot of that is talking. And now you have the right people in the jobs and Donald Trump at the head thinking about what is the right way to do it. I tell you, the way it has been done has been a giveaway.
So real quick, shout out to Micro Toolmaker. He gifted 10 subs. Appreciate that, man. If we missed any others, apologies, but we truly appreciate that. And the rant he gave, we'll read that here at the end. But this got me thinking, like the equity stake in the companies and stuff. We've been talking for years now with the devolution thing. There's these executive orders, 13818, 13848, all these different executive orders where the crime is like, if you participated in the election theft or if you participated in crimes against humanity and the trafficking of children, then your assets as a company or like anybody, any sources of funding, all those things, like we're just going to take you over. We've speculated, Chris Paul has speculated that, was Musk's acquisition, the largest DoD contractor, was his acquisition of Twitter really just a guy like going out and buying Twitter, like somehow managing to take over the greatest narrative weapon in the hands of the left and like all it's ours now. Like, is that really how it went down?
Mohammed bin Salman got his cousin to agree to the acquisition as well.
Yeah, but like the point is, like, is that really how it went down, or is there something else going on here and that's just the story we're being told? And really, this was like the teeth of some of these executive orders just taking over these companies. So reframing the story we're being told about us getting a 10% stake in Intel and us getting, putting $400 million into MP Minerals and all these different things. Maybe that's really happening. But as we start to see this expand into other companies, like they start with these two, but then we start seeing them get stakes in some of these other companies that are a little different. And like, is that really what's happening? Or is it some of these executive orders really just like taking over these companies because of the crimes they've been committing? And the story we're being told is like, yeah, we're just getting an equity stake because we gave them money over the years. Like, is that really what's going on here?
No,
I don't know.
I mean, I certainly believe that. I believe that these are disclosures, narrative translations of actuals. But I even think engaging with the argument on a surface level comes away with like no lies detected with Lutnick. I mean, he's got a shit-eating grin there. He's one of my favorites of the administration to watch communicate as well, because when he talks about Lockheed Martin doing 97% of its business with the U.S. government, he's kind of laughing when he says this. When he says that, he's laughing, in my opinion, because he knows that they are utterly screwed, and that they've got them, that Lockheed Martin, the U.S. government, meaning the American people, have them over a barrel, no pun intended. They are completely screwed. If you do 97% of your business with the U.S. government, that means you do 97% of your business with the American people, which means the American people own you, Lockheed Martin. You're literally not a private company if you have one customer. And if you would not exist without that customer, you are not a company. You are part of the U.S. government, which means we own you. And that's what he's saying there. So it's also kind of funny when he says, again, leaving aside, I agree about what's really going on here, but you don't even need that to be the case. They dog-walked the Intel CEO through the media cycle and humiliated him en route to purchasing 11% or 10% or whatever of the company, right? They humiliated him in the and then came away with 10% of the country. No, Trump humiliated the Intel CEO.
Intel guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's got ties
to the
CCP, yeah.
Yeah, same kind of template. Lutnick there, though, when he says, I also thought it was a bit of a Freudian slip, but kind of fits into the devolution of it all that you're talking about. He says, I'm going to leave the economics of that to the DOD. Yeah. Right? It's not, I'm going to leave the economics of that to Scott Bessent, to the United States Treasury, to the board, to Donald Trump. I'm going to leave the economics to the Department of Defense. Almost like the economics of the United States is a matter of national security.
Oh, 100% is.
And Exactly, and it goes along with all the devolution stuff that you're referencing there. I'm just making the argument that even if none of those executive orders were in place, what Trump is demonstrating with this tariffs being the prime marker here is the power is power refrain. Lockheed Martin is going to do whatever the fuck Donald Trump tells them to do because they will cease to exist if they don't. It's just the way that this works. It's simple supply and demand. So I think what you're seeing here is the public-private partnerships that made the deep state apparatus thrive are literally being used to bring them all to heel.
Yeah.
The very centralization of the system and the administrative state and all these public-private partnership are being turned against them. And what are they going to do? It's the same thing we talked about months ago with Apple having to invest in idiots on Zero Hedge talking about how there's no teeth to any of these orders of compelling Apple. You don't need to go down into executive orders or anything like that. It's just that if Apple wants access to the U.S. market, they're going to get in line. It's as simple as that.
Well, speaking of executive orders, though, what you said there, Trump is like making all these things a matter of national security, and that's the justification he's used for purchasing MP minerals. It's same thing with the Intel thing, and this is the executive order from back on April 15th. Basically saying that all these rare earth minerals and their derivative products, which is the chips, are a matter of national security, and we cannot depend on these foreign countries. And the way he's going about this is just so fascinating. I'm still waiting to see how the Russia-Ukraine peace deal includes like our piece of the pie on those rare earth minerals, because I do think that's coming. But speaking of Lutnick, I do have one more clip I want to play, because in my opinion, this was not his best moment. Yeah, this was not his best moment. And I'll play this here.
Mr. Secretary, with all due respect, how is allowing 600,000 students from the communist country of China putting America first?
Well, the president's point of view is that what would happen if you didn't have those 600,000 students is that you'd empty them from the top. All the students would go up to better schools, and the bottom 15% of universities and colleges would go out of business in America. His view is he's taking a rational economic view, which is classic Donald Trump, looking at higher education and saying,
but why are you
until
helping
we
Harvard?
modify that.
That just helps.
I mean, this is kind of a stupid point. Like, Trump's been going to battle against all of these universities, and now the story we're being told is like the justification for us allowing 600,000 Chinese students coming to the United States, if that's even a real thing. That would like double their number right now. It is the same number as if you put China and India's student population in the United States together, it's about 600,000. So maybe they're talking about both of those, which I could see. The India side of things is interesting, but like him going to war with the universities very publicly, and then the justification here is like to save the universities. Like that's just it's contradiction, and it's a hypocritical one. Like you can't really ignore it. I don't appreciate this thing. Like, we're in the midst of deporting all these illegal aliens. We know that China is stealing our intellectual property constantly. I go back to that Dong Jingwei, the defector, and how he said there's 240,000 PLA, 1,000 talent plan people, student age Chinese in the United States. I could care less about whether they come to school here or if it's benefiting the university system, which I think is a fucking pyramid scheme. Pardon my French.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think, to me, I wonder what the long-term vision of the Trump administration is in their ideal world of Ivy League universities in the United States. That's kind of what I was left thinking of here. If you don't just purely take it on surface level and like, this is retarded, is there something else to this? Are they basically just saying like, yeah, Ivy League universities are essentially foreign incubators, so that's what they're going to remain, and the future of the America First movement is not in the university system? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm grasping at straws, but I'm just wondering. Well, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want my kid going to Ivy League schools ever again, even if there's some kind of like American Reformation.
Well, sometimes Trump, like we talk about the feedback loop a lot. Sometimes Trump throws tests out there at us guys, And like I see comments in the chat here, like I feel like Trump knows what he's doing. Like, what if he's trying to get people to be like, hey guy, you're the America First president. What about this is America First?
Right.
Like maybe he wants people to get upset so that he doesn't allow it. Like that's half the reason he does half the shit he does. Like it's okay to call out bullshit when you see it, and I think this is bullshit. I could care less about 600,000 Chinese students coming to the United States, and I don't even believe in the education system, regardless. So
yeah, well, Ghost has a good point there. That's kind of funny. Learn to weld, he says.
Yeah.
So that's actually a pretty good point there. And when you say, I think when you say you don't give a shit about like these people, I could use that to steelman the argument that it doesn't matter that they're all flooding into Harvard, because Harvard, especially in the age of AI, is going to be producing a net value of nothing. If you're going to Harvard, like this, Jack Mahler's second time the show I'll bring him up. Usually I bring him up in the context of Bitcoin, but he's got great commentary on the transition. He's a little more doomy about it because they don't believe in Patriot plans, they think Trump's an idiot, etc. But when he talks about the transition, he's like one of the big thinkers I've seen saying people are right about the massive disruption the AI acceleration is going to visit upon the economy, but they are inverted. They've got it opposite in terms of how it's going to impact the economy. So one of the examples is when Ghost says learn to weld, AI is not going to replace a welder, not anytime soon. Maybe eventually robotics will. What it is going to replace are lawyers, accountants, graphic designers, coders. It's already replaced coders. If you learn to code, you are well on your way to being completely obsolete. Like within a year, that's going to happen. There's not going to be human coders anymore. So what do Ivy Leagues produce? All of the jobs that Ivy League, or all of the things that they produce are white collar,
blue haired.
Purely, what'd you say?
Blue haired.
Yeah, blue haired land whales. I mean, but even if you're talking about real skills, they're all skills in the tech economy and skills that have no bearing in the physical world. Those are all of the skills that AI is coming for like a tidal wave. So it's just another way of looking at that rather than saying that this is 5D chess or whatever. It might literally be as simple as Trump being like, yeah, you can fucking have all your Chinese imports learning to code and learning Harvard law when there's probably not going to be human lawyers in 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I get that argument, and it's a valid one. You steel manned it sufficiently. This also makes me think of what Trump promised with the American Academy. I want to play that clip right now because this is Agenda 47. I think this is notable, and he said it on the campaign trail back November 2023. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a shift towards this, and this is kind of going against the university systems again. The counterpoint to, okay, we're going to allow these 600,000 people in, who cares? There's still, like, I would wager 50% spies, probably. And that's an issue, but I mean, if they can address that properly.
Spies, G's our boy, man.
We believe so. That is what I've been hearing. Let me play this quick. And I sped it up a little bit.
In recent weeks, Americans have been horrified to see students and faculty at Harvard and other once respected universities expressing support for the savages and jihadists who attacked Israel. We spend more money on higher education than any other country, and yet they're turning our students into communists, terrorists, and sympathizers of many, many different dimensions. We can't let this happen. It's time to offer something dramatically different. Under the plan I'm announcing today, we will take the billions and billions of dollars that we will collect by taxing, fining, and suing excessively large private university endowments, and we will then use that money to endow a new institution called the American Academy. Its mission will be to make a truly world-class education available to every American, free of charge, and do it without adding a single dime to the federal debt. This institution will gather an entire universe of the highest quality educational content covering the full spectrum of human knowledge and skills, and make that material available to every American citizen online for free. Whether you want lectures or ancient histories or an introduction to financial accounting or training in a skilled trade, the goal will be to deliver it and get it done properly, using study groups, mentors, industry partnerships, and the latest breakthrough in computing This will be a truly top-tier education option for the people. It will be strictly non-political, and there will be no wokeness or jihadism allowed. None of that's going to be allowed. Most importantly, the American Academy will compete directly with the existing and very costly four-year university system by granting students degree credentials that the U.S. government and all federal contractors will henceforth recognize. The Academy will award the full and complete equivalent of a bachelor's degree. In addition, to help the 40 million Americans who have some college education but no degree, the American Academy will grant credit for past coursework at legacy institutions and give you the chance to complete your education at the American Academy for free and much more quickly than is now possible or available. This will be a revolution in higher education and will provide life-changing opportunities for tens of millions of our citizens. Enjoy it, learn from it, and thank you.
There you go.
I mean, it's kind of interesting that he uses the terminology that they're going to compete. So, again, reframe a bunch of Indians and Chinese, foreigners flooding Ivy League schools to learn bullshit, while a new generation of Americans are getting university education for free on shit that actually makes them money. Like, are they just saying like, yeah, go for it? Let's see who wins. It reminded me of another Bitcoin maxi. Sorry, they just come up. Michael Saylor University. He has been working to make Saylor University the first accredited free university, because he's been saying we need free universities. But there's an Easter egg here, John. A bit of an inversion.
Interesting. I forgot about that. So I'm trying to see
what color?
Is that a blue-haired lib? Blue-haired landwell?
This could be one in the wild, which is a little bit of a rug if it's Saylor, but I don't know, kind of interesting. Saylor been talking about free American university for all, and Saylor's been saying for years that he wants to compete directly with Ivy League schools while offering free education.
Yeah, that's interesting. Bitcoin. Phil Scarborough, you left a rant here, $3. Thank you for the rant, but I have a question for you. You said Tulsi made an ultra important announcement today that got overshadowed by the shooting. Can you send a link to which one you're referring to? Because you're right. There's the election thing. Is it? I see this video. I don't know if this is what you're referring to.
Tulsi Gabbard blindsided the CIA over revoking clearance. Trump and Gabbard purged top CIA Russia expert. There's a bunch. There's the election one. There's I don't know. If you got a link, man, DM it or post it in here if you wouldn't mind. I did have. Well, she did. Look, I could play this. This was from yesterday, and I posted a video. We might as well just play this real quick. Tulsi Gabbard confirms files hidden by Biden intelligence agencies containing 2020 election fraud stuff. More stuff found in burn bags. Where were the bags? Where were these ones?
Don't know, but they were
There's
on the
bags
way
everywhere.
to the incinerator. Yeah, there must be like a room, burn bag room where all the most important evidence goes, but they forgot to hire somebody. Biden economy, I get it. They forgot to hire the guy to actually like take the burn bags to the incinerator.
You'd think the bad guys would be like, all of our stuff is in these bags.
Should probably burn this incriminating evidence.
Be careful of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they took the necessary steps to get the documents into the burn bags.
Right.
They just didn't do the part that actually got rid of the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just weird. Weird to do step one, but not step two. But lucky for us,
the full control plan relied upon us finding these.
Yes. Yeah. Had we not found these things, everything would be falling apart right now. But anyway, let's listen to this.
And you've also found many bags of information. I think they call them burn bags. They're supposed to be burned, and they didn't get burned, having to do with how corrupt the 2020 election was. And when will that all come out?
Mr. President, I will be the first to brief you once we have that information collected. But you're right. We are finding documents literally tucked away in the back of safes in random offices, in these bags and in other areas, which again speaks to the intent of those who are trying to hide the truth from the American people. and trying to cover up the politicization that was led by people like John Brennan and James Clapper and others that have caused really immeasurable harm to the American people and to our country.
Great job. And you've also found many bags of...
Many bags.
I will say, but these cabinet meetings are so cringy in terms of how much ass kissing goes on by the TV characters.
It's all show and tell, dude. It's show and tell with.
But they all proceed and end all of their statements by being like, "And you, President Donald J. Trump, are the greatest of any Trump that there ever could have been and ever will be. And if it wasn't for you, gas would be like $3.19 instead of $3.15. Thank you so much." It's like, come on, guys. You're milking a little bit. Stop being pussies. Go in there and just say your shit and walk out. And Trump will probably respect you more. They're groveling.
It's an episode
Chris would say.
With a heavy emphasis on the show and tell.
Yeah.
It's funny to watch. It's cool to like see all the accomplishments and stuff that we're being told are being done. But you're right. A lot of brown nosing, a lot of ass kissing. I'm still waiting on that story. But if that's it, we said this before, the burn bag thing is kind of like a dog whistle for like, this is stuff they've had the entire time.
Yeah.
They found it in burn bags, but that's just how the story they're telling to disclose it. It's a cover story.
Yeah. Ghost made a great point as well earlier in chat. We only keep him in chat. He makes good points there, but not on the shows. But mentioned with the Intel stake and all that, very, very similar, if not identical template that Putin and Xi have utilized in their own nations. Infamous clip we've played many times on the various shows of Putin humiliating Deripaska. Was it Deripaska? I think it was. And basically federalizing the Russian factories. So same thing going on with Xi, federalizing a lot of companies over there.
I think he sent me that post.
The clip?
The clip, yeah. And I think this is actually old.
Yeah, that's very old.
This one?
Oh, no, I was talking about Putin.
This is old.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. At President Trump's direction and with the support and coordination of the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford, today we've released a declassified oversight majority staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this.
This is from back in like middle of July when they came out with that first report. So this is not, this didn't actually come out during the mass shooting event. This is old. I could prove it if you need me to. Tulsi Gabbard, Obama, ICA, July. Here we go. Let me find the actual video. I mean, I don't know which one to pick here. I could do
President Obama, Hillary Clinton, John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey.
Same thing. This is the one, though.
The implications of this are far.
Yeah. So that's old, man. But thank you, Phil.
You've seen this, right?
Yes.
Refresher.
Vladimir Putin strode into town.
Почему раньше здесь не было людей, которые способны были принимать решения? Почему здесь-то забегали все как тараканы перед самым моим приездом?
Unlike Medvedev, Putin confronted the factory owners.
Считаю, что вы сделали заложниками своих амбиций непрофессионализма, а может быть просто и тривиальной жадности.
I mean, if you imagine this playing out right now in the United States, it's not much of a stretch to think of what's really going on.
Yeah.
Тысячи людей. Это абсолютно недопустимо. Если собственники договориться между собой не смогут, то единый комплекс все равно будет восстановлен. В том или в другом виде, то это будет сделано без вас.
He demanded the owners, including billionaire Oleg Deripaska, sign an undertaking to restart the factories.
Вы подписали этот договор? Да. Олег Владимирович подписал? Что я не вижу вашей подписи? Идите, подпишите. Идите. Да, договор.
Classic Putin.
Anyway.
That's funny. Hilarious. I
mean,
love that video.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I know it's an old one. People that point there, as Ghost said, this is a template. Obviously, Putin chose to play that template out in much more. You know, one of the themes we've talked about a lot this year, going back to the Iran-Israel stuff, is the idea of face saving. And I think last week and the week before, we discussed the idea that Donald Trump has his own brand of face saving that he plays out every day in that feedback loop with the American people. He's face saving to the normies. He's face saving to his own base. It's not inherently bad to save face. It's a way of identifying with and cultivating and even serving public mandate, right? Well, the Russian version of this sort of thing, of this capitulation, is what Putin's doing there. It's a very direct show of power and submission. Whereas Trump's version of that, I think, if you kind of put the Intel CEO in the position of Deripaska, Trump's not going to have him on national TV and humiliate him like that. But he essentially did that in the form of headlines over the last 2 weeks. That was basically the same deployment. So
Katie Hayes in the chat left a rant ridiculing you, and I can't wait to read it. We should get to the rants in the boost, man. How do you feel about that? Gotta get up early, get my kids off to school. You got the boost ready?
Wow, you're sending your kids to school. Better be trade school, man. They're gonna get replaced by AI.
I know. Maybe
AI
someday.
kids.
Maybe with a bunch more rants, I'd be able to do that, but I can't quite afford to hire a trade school teacher for here at home quite yet. Maybe someday. Instead, they go to school so I can work. Yeah, do you got any boosts? Otherwise, I'm going to go through.
Oh, yeah, I got a one.
We got one from.
It's hard to see.
1027 JS.
Codex. Yeah, that was the one. He said, "Thanks, John and BB, for $20."
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you as always, fellow North Dakotan. By the way, I don't have any outro videos lined up, so I forgot to plug something. I forgot to plug tomorrow night.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be awesome. So you guys all know how much G Money loves fantasy football. If you didn't know that, I'm telling you now, he just loves it. He's obsessed with it.
Yeah. He likes to get in his DMs and talk about it.
Yeah, if you have a fantasy football question or advice, send it to G Money on Twitter, unsolicited. Unfortunately, he will not be doing his Rug Pull radio show tomorrow because he's out of town. So at Badlands, we're gonna do a fantasy football league for the Badlands hosts, and we're doing our draft tomorrow night in place of Rug Pull radio. It's G Money's fantasy football league. That's what we're calling it. Live draft tomorrow, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. It's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah.
Just gonna. Whoops! I accidentally took you
What
out.
is
We're
I'm not doing some free league.
Well, no, we'll bet sats on it.
Blood
obviously,
in the game.
I think G Money's requirement is that we bet some form of sats on it, and
Yeah, I want people to feel like they're in a little bit of marital trouble if things go south in this league.
if the marital trouble thing, I don't want that.
That's just normal.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in a constant state of like
Right.
struggle.
Yeah. I guess I mean, like, you should have anxiety over whether or not you can feed your family if you're underperforming in
Well, no,
this
I
league.
think what we're gonna do is like we'll put in a little bet, whatever, but the loser of this has to do something super embarrassing at the next card. That's what we got to figure out, and we can figure out some of this tomorrow during the draft. So
Steelman XRP in a shitcoin debate
against Michael Saylor.
Yeah.
No, but no, we'll figure something
With
out.
clown makeup on.
We'll take your input.
Chill Ripple.
If you guys have any thoughts or ideas on what we should do for punishment for the loser, let us know. And yeah, we'll go through it tomorrow. That'll be fun though. I'm excited. So it'll probably be the most people we've ever had on a stream at one time. We have 12 people in our league, 12 of the hosts. I don't even know if we can fit 12 people onto a stream. You can have up to 10 people on a screen at once, according to this. So
it's 12 teams.
12 teams. So that math doesn't quite math, but we'll figure it out. It'll be a good time. Babufio says, no, it is crazed. Visit a factory, you will change your mind, Burning Bright. Talking about you wearing brand new clothing without washing.
I've accepted my fate.
By the way, guys, hit the thumbs up if you don't mind. We'd appreciate it. Lions54, Alliance. My bad. Not Lions, Alliance. Can we talk about the 600,000 Chinese students agenda?
Nope.
I bet after you saw us do that, you were real happy about sending this rant. So we did that. ZBM, I have seen less young male Hispanics around lately, so that's a change. Yeah, unless that's what you're looking for, that is a good change. Lufio, it has to be participation government going forward, or it does not work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Suppose.
Valseco 16, Capone went down for taxes. Think this is their worst crimes. The charges will grow. We all want Blackhawks, but obviously Trump is sticking the knife in slowly and twisting it. That's a good point. It's a great point. Record Toolmaker for $55 says nothing can stop what is coming. Hell yeah, man. Thank you for that rant. Victoria OB, the strength of the US dollar and cost of goods manufactured here is why we need lower energy costs, not to mention his AI initiatives, which Trump is also focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point, and it's one of the counterbalances. If you do make the dollar weaker, then a way to offset inflationary pressures is to make energy cheaper. So you're bringing the cost of goods and production down while you're weakening the dollar. So everybody's saying that it's impossible to have a weaker dollar and lower prices, and what happens when it's possible?
What happens? Katie Hayes, BB, I expect better from you. These ones, that phrase is ridiculed in our house for being redundant. These is already plural. You retard.
Sounds like a bunch of grammar Nazis in that house.
But she's not wrong.
You guys probably play Scrabble. I don't associate with people who play games like that.
Yeah, and GP Shea, Coeur d'Alene is a great spot, almost as close as I would like a guard to come to me. John will have to come to see me to see the trebuchet, not too far from there, on the way back to the Dakotas. That's right. This guy is in North Dakota.
This earlier tonight in how it's pronounced in French, but I can't pronounce it.
We are discussing Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
It is a potential guard location. So, but yeah, this guy's a trebuchet. He sent me a video once, and it's badass, and I want it.
This guy just has a trebuchet?
Yeah, I think he's in like western North Dakota, and
has he besieged anything?
I don't know. I mean, he hasn't besieged me yet, so that's a good sign. But I am curious. I think I might have the DM he sent me saved. Let me see if I can find it.
Could he marshal against the walls of Minas Tirith itself? Sort of trebuchet?
I don't know. I don't know what the standards are for trebuchets that can marshal against the walls of Minas Tirith are. So
right.
That's it's a great question.
People ask.
It's a valid question.
Yeah.
I just gotta see if I can find this guy's DM. Hold on. Because I do remember, I think I showed this on a show once. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Hey, by the way, all you sassy black ladies out there, stop committing mortgage fraud.
Is that a thing with just sassy black ladies? Because Adam Schiff was doing it too.
I think we uncovered and Adam Schiff. He was probably doing it on behalf of a sassy black lady, though.
Okay, here's the trebuchet. Check this out.
This is the actual trebuchet?
This is the one.
Okay.
He's all right.
Is he all right, though? Wow.
Hell yeah. Look at that thing.
Damn.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He's all right.
I'm in. It's like a German Shepherd, if I'm not mistaken. The loser of fantasy football sits in the trebuchet.
Or it sits in the target zone and gets hit with a pumpkin or whatever that is that gets flung. Gets trebucheted.
Instant death. Just, we will kill whoever loses in brutal and very public fashion.
Oh, funny. Yeah, but yeah, we're looking at that location, man, and I think now that I see there's a trebuchet witnessing on the line, I think it's we got to do it. We have no choice now. So you might have just sold me, man. Good to see you again. But with that, did you find an outro video? Because I don't have one.
Nope, I forgot.
One
just not feeling the attention span right now.
That's okay. I get it. I might have. Here, we'll do the burn bags thing from last episode, or maybe it was like a month ago, actually. But this is us a month ago talking. We're wearing the same thing too.
Time is a flat circle.
Oh, funny. Okay, well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern on the Daily Herold, and then tomorrow night, fantasy football draft, G Money's Fantasy Football League. DM him all your fantasy football tips, questions, thoughts, whatever it is. He loves it. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna have General Quast on Sunday night on the Narrative.
Ooh,
that's the next time I'll see you guys.
That'll be a good one.
Besides tomorrow night.
That'll be a good one.
Should be fun.
Catch you later. All these documents that we're starting to see rolled out, that they just so happen to be finding these things. These are the things that they raided Mar-a-Lago for, that they were searching for.
Oh yeah.
Trump did not walk away in 2020 and just, we'll just leave these here. Hopefully we'll get back in, and hopefully these documents are still here, and all the bad guys that are implicated in those documents didn't do anything with them. And then on the flip side of that, the bad guys didn't get back in and then themselves walk away and be like, we'll just leave these here and hope these things that implicate us aren't used by the good guys, right? That's not what happened. The Mar-a-Lago raid was a cover story for the bad guys searching for these documents. And right now, a story like this, where Kash Patel is finding these documents, is a cover story for them having walked away with those documents and had them the whole time, and now they're just publicly releasing them. And this is the narrative they're telling us as to how they're finding these things. But none of that's true. It's all bullshit.
Kash put it in the burn bag yesterday. He put the burn bag into the closet, and then today he went in there and found them and took them out. Something like that. But